Hello and welcome to the inaugural edition of the BioWare Social Nebulous podcast thing.
That's the name?
That's the name of it right now because it's a nebulous podcast thing. Sometimes we'll be talking about the games that we're working on here at BioWare Social. Like today, we'll be talking about Dragon Age Legends. Other times we might just be talking about stuff going on at the office, like, for example,
What if
Ethan.
we called it the ice cream social?
We could call it the ice cream social.
Would we have to give out ice cream for that to really work? I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not sure that's going to be a good thing.
The title itself is Nebulous.
Okay.
It may change in the future. That's what we're calling it right now.
Okay.
I am your host, Brett Bates. I'm the community manager here at BioWare San Francisco. With me today, I also have...
Ethan Levy. I was the original producer of Dragon Age Legends, and now I'm something else doing something else.
And
I'm Paul Gunn. I was originally brought on as the lead content designer, and now I'm just lead designer for Dragon Age Legends. Although, yeah, now we're kind of wrapped up.
now you're also something on
Yes.
something else. If you guys can't tell, even though we have stopped current development on Dragon Age Legends, we are working on many new projects.
We still have jobs.
We still have jobs.
We're still making games
And
to
that's part
entertain the masses.
That's part of the reason we're doing this podcast. We want to make sure that you guys can, keep up to date on what we're working on, and hopefully at some point relatively soon, maybe we'll be able to tell you more about what we're working on. That may or may not happen. We'll see. So anyway, today I wanted to talk about cool stuff you didn't know about Dragon Age Legends. I figured since, the game just wrapped up development, I think it's a really good time to kind of look back and think about, hey, like, where did we want to do more? Where could we have done more? Where did we add things that maybe the general community didn't really understand? Or what's just cool stuff, cool stories that the people who love the game would want to hear about? So since we've got our lead writer and designer and lead producer, Ethan's been here since the very beginning. He's one of the few here in the studio who was actually around when we launched the game a year ago.
Yeah, and I actually even wrote the original story outline that Paul unfortunately inherited because what I wanted to do with story was so much bigger than what we did. Just like everything.
Sure.
Like everything.
I mean, that's the nature of game development. Mm-hmm. You always go big, and you always have to pare back, whether it's because of technical limitations, time limitations, whatever. It sucks.
Or if the story didn't make any sense,
It totally made sense.
Or that. Okay.
It totally made sense if we were able to explain it all.
No.
So let's start with story. You don't have to explain the whole thing to everyone. But I think, one of the really sort of nebulous details is the deal with Iton and like what's going on with that and the Pride Demon at the end of the game. So maybe we can get some enlightenment from you guys.
So one of the things that I want to say right up front here, like with Iton, we couldn't actually have Iton really talking to you early in the game because we were kind of had some technical limitations. And so until we actually had that technology of having the characters specifically pop up and say stuff to you, we weren't able to integrate that kind of thing into the game. So when you first meet Iton
being Ravi's son,
right? Ravi's son. You meet him in the Planetine Forest, right?
Yes.
And you don't actually he never says anything. So it's a little weird. We do kind of bring him in the end of the game, without actually having him talk to you or interact with you.
Well, so he was, at least in the original outline, he was supposed to be tranquil.
And what does that mean?
Okay, so in the Dragon Age universe, mages can, I forget, they can choose to become tranquil. Right.
And sometimes they're forced to become tranquil.
It's like magic. It's like they've been magically neutered.
I don't think it's more like a lobotomy.
Right, a magic lobotomy. Right, but it's something that happens after birth. It's done as part of this. The circle does it, and it's generally because the mage is afraid that they won't be able to battle the demons that are constantly trying to take over their body.
Right.
So, couple fun facts. One, the intention was for the character to be called Atone.
Okay.
It sounds similar to atone, which is why it would be pronounced that way. It's a intentional mispronunciation of my Hebrew name, which is Aton. And the
So
reason
there's a little egoism here, huh?
No, well, the reason why I made that choice was because the way the story was set up was we wanted it to be like a. My actual inspiration point was the character, the mule, from Isaac Asimov's Foundation trilogy, where you think he's this helpful character, and you're trying to protect him, and near the end of the book or near the end of the game, you discover that he's the enemy. He's been psychically manipulating everyone the whole time, that he's the real villain. So I thought it would be really fun to name the villain after me, because as the producer, I'm the evil one forcing people to work on weekends and bow to my ridiculous ideas with little to no justification. Okay. So that's a little bit about that. When I worked with the Dragon Age guys, with Mike Laidlaw, on the original story outline, I was looking for something cool and unique to bring, like a unique idea to bring into this game. And so the idea of being born tranquil, if you're really into the fiction and into the universe, that's really cool and unique. The idea behind the character, if you've watched the cutscene, is that there's this massive fight with the Pride Demon.
Yeah, and this is the cutscene when you first play the game, the very first time. It's also available on YouTube. Really cool animated thing by Adam Phillips.
Adam Phillips, of Bitey Castle. Go play his latest game. It's awesome. He's the best animator ever, and I love him.
Yeah, so check that out. If you haven't seen it, it's on the Dragon Age Legends YouTube channel.
But so that video takes place before Aiton is born.
Yeah. The story of the video is that Ravi, Izel, Sendis, Tovez, and Lukesh are fighting this demon. And at the time, Izel was already pregnant with Atone. And what was supposed to be the giant reveal of the end story of the first year arc of Dragon Age Legends was that she was pregnant with Atone. They thought she used blood magic to kill the Pride Demon, but what was actually happening was the Pride Demon's demon soul got splintered into 6 shards.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. If you guys have not played through the end of the story and you do not wish to be spoiled, maybe skip ahead a minute or so.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry. But so one of those pieces of his soul possessed Atone. And that actually made Atone incredibly powerful. But then the other idea was that he as a character was supposed to appear tranquil and then start getting voice over the course of the game. And the reason was that he was not actually tranquil. What was going on, and again, spoiler, was that half of his consciousness was in the Fade, battling it out with the soul of this Pride Demon for control. And the intention in this idea where we were going to do, a year-long story arc, then another year-long story arc, was that the game would end with, the first year would end with a cliffhanger where you kill the Pride Demon, but you're actually releasing Atone's true power and true potential, and he would become the villain of the second year of Dragon Age.
Gotcha.
Are
very cool, very ambitious.
Clearly, my ambitions for the story far exceeded our ability to pull off story, both technologically and with just the amount of content and storytelling devices.
Right.
Yeah.
So obviously, we kind of had to rewrite the ending a bit to wrap it up
just slightly.
Well, the condenser.
My beautiful work. You ruined it, Paul. No, I'm just kidding.
We had to wrap it up. Just because of budget and time constraints.
Sure.
And so we do allude to Aiton being tranquil, or being kind of a little weird. And when he does talk to you, he's not very emotional in the way he delivers his lines. Mm-hmm. And of course, being a text-based delivery, it doesn't really convey that as well as I'd like it to. But we did as much as we could to really kind of make that obvious.
Yeah.
And we also wanted to kind of wrap it up with that, and so what we end up with instead of Aiton being kind of like this major villain, he becomes more of a tragic figure at the very end.
Okay.
Yeah, when I kind of stopped working on Legends, I gave Paul et al. free reign to do whatever they wanted to make things make sense, because it was, there was no reason to be tied to a 20-page document I wrote.
Yeah, yeah.
It was really because what I did was I wrote the year-long story arc as presented to the player.
Yeah.
And then I did a second version where I copied it, split it into 2 columns, and on the left column was the story as presented to the player, and on the right column was the secret details that would be revealed later that would make the story super cool.
The what was actually happening behind the scenes.
Big reveals.
Right.
Yes, a lot of that stuff we were able to maintain and keep. However, because we had the limitation of trying to finish it this year, a lot of it had to be either curtailed or changed.
Yeah.
So it's
Or
just
made
kind of the nature of the story.
much better.
Well, or made sure. A lot of it was because of the nature of the medium that we're trying to tell the story, and we have to simplify a bit.
Yeah.
If we were telling story through voiceover and that kind of thing, kind of like what Dragon Age and Dragon Age 2 did, we'd have a lot more leeway to really tell a deeper story.
Before we end this podcast, let's talk about one more origin story. Paul, you wrote up here on our giant whiteboard about raids. So talk a little bit about the origin of raids.
So the origin of raids is actually kind of funny. The mobile team was they were maintaining the mobile site. If you go to m.dragonagelegends.com, you can play a sort of trimmed down mobile version of the game where you can go and give things to people and everything like that. Collect your money, build consumables, that kind of thing, and look at your stats, look at your skills. And the mobile team really wanted to kind of tackle something big and make something that you could play on the mobile site. And so they started this thing. I don't remember what they were calling it at the time. I guess it was raids, essentially.
I think it was called raids.
It was raids.
Yeah.
It was highly inspired by Castle Age's raids.
Right. It was very, very similar to Castle Age's raids. It's just that you'd actually be able to use your character's skills to do things differently, rather than having just like the attack button and defend button, which is what Castle Age does. I was very closely involved with them and kind of coming up with how this raid system would work, and we came up with something pretty sweet. They actually managed to get basically a working prototype of the raid system on mobile, but it was very much a prototype, and so if it we would have to rewrite all the code to make it functional with the talking to the servers and that kind of thing. And we were looking for something to kind of fill the gap of kind of where GVG did not work out. We put a whole bunch of respawning nodes in the game, but that really wasn't enough to really kind of keep people engaged.
We wanted something where they could come back again and again and again once they'd finished with the main quest content.
Well, and also I think another thing that we were looking for was something that was very social. Mm-hmm. And so that's where raids came from. We looked at the mobile version and said, well, this is very compelling. This is very fun. Let's get this in the actual main game. And we spent, what was that, 2.5 months or a month and a half or something like that?
A long
time on raids. We spent a lot of effort. And that's actually why the first edition of raids was single player, is because we were kind of building it in piecemeal manner. And then the original concept was that they'd all be multiplayer. Yeah. Because we wanted the players to really engage with each other and interact with each other. And also be kind of a cooperative competition kind of thing. And a lot of this inspiration came from my work at Paragon. We were doing City of Heroes raids. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's really where it came from. Was we looked at the raids that we had built, the very kind of basic system that we had built for mobile, and wanted to see if we could bring that forward and into the main game.
Yeah, so. Well, I think you guys did a good job with it. Raids are fun.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, why don't we wrap up this episode? Thank you guys so much for coming on. I think it's really cool for players to learn more about the backstories of the game and how various things came to be and why other things did not come to be. So, like I said, we're going to try to do this on a regular basis. We won't always be talking about Dragon Age. Sometimes we'll be talking about what we're working on, even if we can't say exactly what it is. We can talk
about the redacted game design podcast.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of beeps in it. It'll be about 2 minutes long after we edit it. No. And then we'll just talk about shenanigans in the office, other sorts of fun things like that, kind of what it's like to work at a game development studio. So hope to see you guys all back next time we're on. See ya.
See ya.
Thanks for playing.